Welcome back again. I know y'all just seen the first video, but we gonna switch up the topic. Let's get right into it, man. Y'all read the title. So, here are my set of conversation starters, icebreakers, however you want to put it. You feel me? This is for the folk, my guys out there that's struggling with developing a connectivity, developing some kind of conversation with a woman. You feel me? These are all off the top, right? And the reason why I'm doing this all off the top is because I'm gonna talk to y'all just as if it was just organic, because each situation calls for a different playbook, right? You gotta be able to be a playmaker, right? You can sit up there and I'm gonna use this sports analogy. It's just kind of like you playing Madden or you playing 2K. Okay, for my basketball folk out there, but let's use Madden for this example, right? You on offense. Defense, they in a 3-4 zone. Let's call it like a Tampa 2 or whatever the case may be. And let's say, and I don't want to get all complex with this analogy, but the point is that let's say they blitzing. They blitzing, meaning that they got a defender coming straight down the middle, and there's only so many blockers that can block the people that's coming to come get you as the quarterback, right? You the quarterback, you drop back with the pass. You see the defender and nobody's open yet. You got to make a play. You feel me? Do you shrug off the defender? You feel me? Do you run outside the pocket and buy more time? Or being a basketball guy, right? Say if you do the pick and roll, right? Which is those that don't understand basketball terminology. A pick and roll is, you're at the top of the key and you got a defender on you that's a good defender, but you got a defender that's more ideal. So the person that's guarding him is going to come up from the wing, come up to the key or where you at, sit up there, set a wall. You're going to run around the wall. And then naturally, the defender that was defending the person that you had drew towards you is not going to pick you up unless the person fights over the pick. But just for this example, that person fights over the pick and then the defense resets. So now you're looking at like, all right, now I got to shake dude or do a move. You got to become a playmaker, right? But getting into the questions that I would ask, getting to know and conversating with a woman, right? So off the top, we're going to start off with where you from, right? Because where are you from could go lots of ways. Customs, culture, so many avenues you could take about where are you from. And try to be multicultural, right? Just pick up little bits and nuggets, or there's a lot of things about certain places you've never been to, but they could be conversation starters. So if you ask a woman, she was hiding, where you from? Where you coming from? She could say, hey, New York City, boom, right? You heard a lot about New York City, whether it be the Big Apple, the ball drop, the Knicks, the train stations, a live city or whatever, right? So there's a lot of different segues and follow-up questions you can pick up on that. But let's say she from a small town, right? Though you may not know about said small town, that it can work both ways, right? And what I mean by that is by the things you don't know is what questions you can follow up with. So you get safe answers. Okay, you're from so-and-so small town. So what is it like living in a small town? Everybody goes to the same high school. How was dating? Does the word get around faster? Because word of mouth is just, because it's so confined. Does word of mouth get around quick? Does reputation really matter a lot more because it's hard to reinvent yourself in front of people that already know you? There's so many questions you can ask a woman regarding where is she from, right? Then you could follow up with another question, right? And like I said, I'm just doing these all off the top of my head, so bear with me, y'all. Another question I would ask a woman would be, not what's your 5 year plan, because I feel like that's just too generic, too commercial, and that gets a lot of personal. There's a way for a person to answer that question without actually answering it, right? They want, oh, I want to improve in life, and oh, I want to live here, and they can just give you your dreams and give you this cliche, idealistical scenario, like, oh, I want to live in a big house with a couple dogs and a fast car, and lots of kids and so on and so forth. But it doesn't really personalize the question to where you're actually getting to know them, right? So instead of being like, what's your 5 year plan? You can take that same question and restructure it and ask, not where do you see yourself in 5 years, but you can ask it in a way where, yeah, I guess you could ask that. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? It's the same question, but it comes off less interviewish, right? Because a 5 year plan is like it's too formal. You want to have an informal conversation, because a lot of what's going to be discussed, you want to get in that subjective personality aspect, not this interview kind of, like you're interrogating the person, right? So if you ask a woman, where do you see yourself in 5 years? She can give you all those same answers, but she might add in with, my dreams are, I want to own an art museum, or I want to travel more, or I want to go to these places. And, I always thought about, living in this area, and so on and so forth. So those questions, though, they'll be the same answers. The way she answers based off of said question tells you a lot more about her personality than how she would have answered those questions based off of how you decide to ask the question, right? All right, I know that was a lot, you feel me? But that's just the gist of, just context matters. You have to be a contextualized strategist when it comes down to actually not just, because conversations are about questions, but for said question, there is an art to asking questions, right? There's an art, but I'll do a totally different video on that. But that's aside from that point, I will also ask, hey, all right, well, what do you see going on in your future type stuff? You don't even got to put a number on it, right? But anyways, moving on. Let's see here. What's another thing I would ask a woman if I was trying to get to know her? Kids, right? Kids definitely tells a lot about a woman, right? Whether she already has kids and she's open to having more kids, or she don't have kids, that lets her know. And it also is contingent on what kind of guy you are, because then you could see how congruent, outside of the two of y'all, how would y'all coexist in a family setting if that's what y'all trying to go for. If you're a guy that's really not into kids, you want to find somebody complimentary towards that, because that's a big conflict of interest. You feel me? Kids is a very big topic. So you get to know a woman, you be like, okay, well, how do you feel about kids? How many would you like to have? Are you done having kids? Do you want to have kids? Very, very important question. And yet again, it says a lot about that person's personality, because maybe that person, and like I said, it's a touchy subject. It can go a lot of ways, but let's see what else. Asking if she's a homebody or she's a social person, right, is a big one. And that can go also along with, are you extroverted or introverted? Now, those aren't like completely symmetrical, but they're the same nature of question, because what you're trying to figure out with this question is like, how interactive and what kind of lifestyle does she live? Is she just a person that's very secluded, very to herself? She's very, intentional, and she's less about having fun and just being in the mix? Or is this a person that's, outside trying to, be in the mix and be well-rounded and having interactions and being social and, things of that nature, right? So that definitely And like I said, then people might give you cliches. Oh, I'm both. It depends what day I am, what day it is. And I'm gonna keep it on with y'all, right? I'm naturally introverted, but because I do have certain social skills, depending on the person that's in front of me, gets a different impression of who I am, right? So if we don't connect, we don't vibe, yeah, I'm probably not gonna say much to you. But if we just got a certain kind of natural chemistry, oh yeah, you feel me? We gonna chop it up. You feel me? We gonna chop it up. And back to the main point is that asking those questions gives you an impression of not only what she does as an individual, but how many people, what kind of access does she allow people to have towards her, right? So introvert, extrovert, that's a very good question to ask. You feel me? And some people might, that I think there's a word that probably means both of them. People are gonna try to duck and dodge because they I don't know. They just want to keep it subjective. They don't want to put themselves in a box where it's just like, I'm just this. Everybody's an individual. Everybody's special. Nobody's like anyone else. It depends also who you're talking to, right? Because some people be upfront. But anyways, asking that question, well, what's another one? We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. So if I was talking to a woman, what else would I ask her? I would ask her, is she a sapiosexual? Right? And y'all can go ahead, stop the video, go ahead, Google that up. A sapiosexual, I'm just gonna go ahead and give y'all the definition if y'all ain't positive you don't look it up. It's pretty much someone that's more attracted to more cerebral, more psychological or mental attraction, right? So a person physically may not impose a certain charisma, but hey, if you got a great personality or you got a great sense of humor, things that you can't quantify, that's less tangible and more intangible, there are women that are they're more attracted beyond the physical. And I think more women are more sapiosexuals than men, obviously, because we're visual. If you're pretty, okay. We change the rules depending on what we got in front of us to a certain extent, right? But I feel like women relative towards us, yeah, they're more mental, more emotional. So they can, depending on how you talk to them, how you interact with them, definitely can exceed outside the physical within reason, of course, right? So, yeah, I would ask, are you more, and using words like that also can, just, I don't want to say like you're more intelligent, but you want to show a certain level of vocabulary. My bad, y'all. I had a little situation. But anyways, next question I would ask, right? Next question I would ask is, what is that woman's favorite food, or what does she like to eat? Now, this information right here could go a lot of ways. There's a lot of value in this over just, oh, okay, she likes to eat that. No, it's bigger than that, right? Because it could segue to, are you allergic to anything? If you're planning to take her out on a date, then maybe she's giving you the answers to the test that she's not even realizing she's answering, right? Because all this, when it comes down to getting to know a woman, you're actually picking her brain to understand, or at least try to get an impression of how you should interact with her, right? What value system does she have? And do you have the strategy to be able to interact and accommodate towards those interests and those values based off of the data that you collected, right? So, I mean, that can go a lot of ways. Let's see, what else? You can also ask if Is she materialistic? Now, I feel like everybody to a certain extent is somewhat materialistic, but materialistic or high maintenance, that'd probably be a better question. Are you high maintenance? Because that can go a lot of ways, right? That can go far beyond materialism, right? Are you high maintenance? Meaning that, are you tough to talk to, or does it require a lot more maturity? Because, and I don't want to say maturity, but does it require a lot more patience to deal with you just because, you know, maybe your personality exudes a lot more drama, or you're a lot more dramatic, and maybe the compliment would be the opposite end of that spectrum, which would be a person that's more stoic, a person that's more nonchalant, a person that's, you know, that doesn't allow their emotions to take them to a certain place and match their energy. That could be a very good conversation to have. Are you high maintenance? Because it may not be requiring money. It just require you to expend a different kind of resource, right? Which would be your mental, right? Okay, all right. You know, you gotta kind of pick your poison when it comes down to women, right? But with that being said, yeah, I would ask if a woman is either materialistic or high maintenance, or would she consider herself materialistic? Let's see. Some more icebreakers, man. Let's see. Let's see here. Because let's take a pause here and let me expand on this point, because I think with most people, and there is a time and a place for this. When people think about interacting with a woman, oh, I gotta game her up, or I gotta sauce her down, or I gotta mack her. You feel me? Yeah, you want to add some romance, you want to add some dominance, you want to add some assertiveness to the mix. It's just not all that, right? You want to have, you know, different things you could show up with. So if you're not gonna female down, right? At first, the first initial thing, because you don't want to sit up there and walk up to a woman and be like, oh, where are you from? And this is after you have already established the initial impression, right? This is like your second impression. Because there's phases of dating in order to get someone in a certain space in your life and in her life, right? So the first, let me go ahead and rewind, because this was actually a good thought I just had. You don't want to go into getting to know a woman just off of these questions at first. You have to establish the initial chemistry, right? So if you're knocking a female down, right, and you ain't got to sit up there and be a ladies' man and have a gift of gab and, you know, all the theatrics and being like, all right, baby, you looking, you know, and all this. You could have that. It's just, you got to play to your strengths, because not everybody skill set is the same. So if you got charisma, go ahead and show that. Or if you're aesthetically looking in a certain way, you know, maybe you sauce her down with your body language. You feel me? You confident. You feel me? You just, you know, maybe you sauce her down with your body language. And you don't even got nothing but a couple of words. You a man, a few words. You like, hey, what's happening, baby? Oh, yeah. You know, my name is so-and-so. What's your name? Keep it simple. You feel me? If that fits your personality. But some people got pickup lines, so on and so forth. So after you establish the first initial introduction part, then the second phase of dating this woman is the interview process. And I feel like this is so important, because a lot of us decides to skip this part and jump to the third part, which is the second meetup, right? The second meetup. So if you ain't got no phone conversation with her, because I'm not a big texting person, I feel like texting, though there are emojis and stuff, you can sit up there and make things a little bit more theatrical. Being over the phone, I feel like adds all the variables and dimensions that I need to understand and document what kind of person this is. through a text, I feel like you can make up whoever you are in those texts, right? So I do phone conversations. I'm an old school brother. I'm gonna pick up that phone, you feel me? And we gonna chop it up for an hour or two, right? And the honeymoon phase, you should be able to hold a conversation for an hour or two, no problem, especially don't know this person from nowhere. It's too many things that could be asked, too many things that could be talked about for you not to be able to hold a phone conversation with them. And, you know, maybe you are a text type person. Whatever the case may be, the vetting process has to be made before you get to step 3, which is the second meetup. Because the second meetup, and I'm gonna keep it 100. People be like, oh, you gotta go on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dates to really discover who this person is. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. About that second date, once you leave that second date, you know about 90% of what that person is, right? Now, 10% definitely could be a pendulum swing. So I'm not gonna downplay, but you know who's in front of you about time the second time you see this person and you get done hanging out with them. You know if you want to kick it with them again. You feel me? You know, right? So with that being said, is after that third phase gets established, then the fourth and final stage, which is what is the framework and the foundation far as which our dynamic is going to sit on. Is it casual? Is it serious? Is it gray area where it could be one of the two? Y'all still figuring each other out, you know, that kind of thing. That's the final stage, because, or you might leave that person alone, she might leave you alone. You feel me? But back to because I'm gonna add a couple more. I'm in this video. Another thing that I would ask a woman, which would be, what do you feel like your biggest flaw is? Right? Something that you're working on the most. Now, here, this question right here, and I don't even know why this wasn't even the first question. Right? But don't ask this at first. Don't do that. Don't ask that at first. Right? But I do feel like one of the most important questions, because this is how you know if a person that you're dealing with has the maturity level to be able to take accountability, because everybody's working on something. Nobody is just flawless. Everybody got something to work on, right? If this person be like, oh, well, I don't know. This person needs to do one or two things: too immature to admit their faults, or secondly, they're not self-aware. Nobody's actually went out their way to tell them about themselves, right? Maybe they super pretty and they got pretty privilege and everybody's a yes man and a yes woman and she can't do no wrong. And nobody's actually sat her down and be like, look, your attitude is shitty. Look, you kind of be procrastinating. Look, your tonality and the way you come off, I know that's not your intentions, but you're not going to talk to me like that. You feel me? Like, if a woman sits up there and at least takes accountability for whatever character flaw she has to work on, that tells you a lot about not where she's at initially, but where you can go with her if she always has the capacity to want to improve and want to excel at something that she's always working on, right? So it may not even be the answer. It's how she goes about answering the answer, right? The kind of words and context she uses to decide to answer. If she's like, oh yeah, I need to work on my attitude, and that's it. She ain't got no examples. She's not going to expound on what she's identifying, what's wrong with her attitude and what is she doing to improve said attitude. That right there, I do feel like that's a person that's either not interested enough in you to tell you the full answer. She's just giving you all this hard to get, playing hard to get kind of situation where she's still trying to feel you out. Like, all right, man, like, I'm not really feeling you like that. So I'm just going to give you all these one word answers or these short ended answers. I'm not going to give you much because I'm not interested, right? And let's see, I could think about two more, man. Two more. I got y'all, man. I ain't finna leave y'all hanging. Two more, and I'm done with this video. So we got the worst flaw. Let's see. I mean, to add on to that, because I'm not gonna cheat y'all, you can also flip that question and be like, what are the best things you feel like either you feel about yourself or people have told you about you? This right here lets you know the confidence level of this person. Because if they be like, oh, I don't know, I'm just, I don't know what's my best ability. Yet again, either low self-esteem or just not self-aware, they're not inclined to who they are. And if they're very, I don't want to say like cocky, but they're very confident and very self-aware and very inclined to their value and what they bring to either themselves or other people, that will let you know that, hey, all right, this person is a person, at least they identify themselves as a person of value, even though other people may not value that same value, right? So that could tell you about a woman's confidence level based off of how she answers that question. So I got two more for y'all. All right. So let's see here, man. What's another question I would ask a woman, man? And like I said, I know y'all probably feeling I should have wrote these down, but I'm gonna keep it on it. If I would have tried to write all this stuff down, it wouldn't have flowed. You feel me? It wouldn't have flowed. But let me get back to the matter at hand. All right. Let's see here. This kind of, I don't want to say petty, but this is another personality question, right? What kind of shows you like to watch, right? Now, you're not going to sit up there and ultimately be like, okay, well, because she like action, she's confrontational and she knows kung fu or something, she going to beat you up. No, you're just trying to pick at what stimulates her mind. So if it is action, what about action movies intrigues your interest and it stimulates your mind? Maybe she likes the controversy. Maybe she likes the unknowingness. Maybe she likes the action itself, the entertainment in action. You feel me? All right, maybe that's something she like, or maybe she likes comedy. Maybe she likes to laugh, or maybe she got a great sense of humor. She just likes to laugh. That can, knowing what a person's interest is doesn't always correlate towards their personality and who they are, but it can let you know about what their interests lie, right? And this is the whole purpose of this video. You're trying to depict and learn what this person is most susceptible to, depending on what situation or what the scenario is, right? So asking about movies and stuff like that or shows, that definitely is a good personality evaluator. Let's see. What else? If I were talking to a woman, what else would I ask? Let's see. I'm gonna come up with something, y'all. Cause, I do this. You feel me? I've been doing it for years. I do this. You feel me? Let's see. Smoke or drink. Reason why I would say you ask a woman, does she smoke or drink, is not particularly just being like, oh, okay, well, she may not be on top of her health. Because I feel like using certain substances and the correlation towards your health can be somewhat a correlation, but at the same breath, it could be subjective, right? Because there's people that don't abuse drugs or don't use drugs, but still have bad health, right? Or bad health practices. though they don't touch drugs, do anything. And there's people that have immaculate health, and yeah, they probably smoke cigarettes and drank yak, and they're just on top of their health. So it's really subjective. But the reason why you want to ask a person if they smoke or drink, right, is the purpose of, all right, how do you like to have fun, or what do you use to be able to decompress? Are you a person that reads books? Like, what is your happy place, your quote unquote happy place? Do you need a distraction? Do you need to be impaired to get to that distraction? Does it help you compartmentalize, your work life from your personal life? Like, what coping mechanism are you using to be able to decompress? Because everybody needs a decompress, right? And it also could mean that, all right, does this person have any addictions? Right? Do they have any addictions? Could they go without whatever said, smoke, drink, whatever the case may be, and still be a functional person? That's a good question. How do they operate when they don't have said whatever it may be? Who knows, right? Hold on, y'all. It's getting dark. Y'all. It's getting dark. Hold on, man. The sun's setting. And let me get y'all right, man. Get y'all right here. Okay. All right, this may not be the best place to put the light at, but hold on. That made me look like I'm telling a ghost story or something. All right, there we go. Now we hitting on something. All right, y'all. So last but not least, man. I mean, there's lots of, you can talk about politics. You can talk about how do you view feminism, and do you vote? And, politics is a very touchy subject. So maybe you don't want to go into that right away because, maybe y'all haven't established a certain rapport to where y'all able to agree to disagree without taking things personal, right? If y'all both got each other's best interests, maybe y'all can get into more touchy conversations to where, yeah, if y'all don't align a certain way, it's not a deal breaker. You feel me? But I would sit up there and say, I mean, you can ask a woman, do she catch feelings easy? That can indicate, that's kind of like a filler question, because that really doesn't tell you much, right? Do you catch feelings easy? 39 times out of 10 going to tell you it depends on the person, right? Because we all understand that for those that, there's people that sit up there, they could take 3 months to know a person, they want to get married to them. And then a person can sit up there and date a person for 3-4 years and then decide they still on the fence about wanting to marry that person or whatever the case may be, right? So that's a subjective question that really doesn't give you no real indicator. But let me leave y'all off with a real, a good one, man. A good one. Hey, just give me a second. Let me think about this one. Let's see here. Let's see. Just give me a second, y'all. Okay. I'm gonna give y'all something. I ain't gonna think about this too long. Let's see here. Okay. Here's the last one. I got y'all. What is that person's said availability? This right here could be, and you're really not asking. Yeah, you're asking because you obviously want that person to be available. But how they decide to answer this question is going to tell you everything you know about how interested this person is in you. And you don't want to sit up there and read too much into it because the person cannot sometimes don't have the availability that's ideal, but just follow me, right? If you be like, hey, when you usually free? If a woman sit up there and tell you, I'm really not free, I gotta do this on the weekends, and I got school and I got work, and I'm with these people, and a woman, I don't care what she got going on in her life. If she is interested in you, she's gonna make time. She's gonna move everything aside. She's gonna find some time somewhere in her schedule to make herself available for you. I don't care. Nobody's that busy to where they can't sit up there and make. Now, if y'all both super duper busy and y'all just schedule conflict, that's okay. But I'm gonna keep it 100. She gonna make time for you, right? And we just gonna cut to the chase with that. She gonna make time for you if the interest is there. She gonna move whatever she got in her schedule out the way, and she gonna sit up there and, hey, okay, we can meet here, we can go there, and I'm telling you that. And my next video, or the video regarding this, my follow-up video on this, is gonna be like, how do you go about planning a date? But based off of she answered that question and all the answers that you asked previously is correlating towards how do you set up a date, right? Or how do you set up a date with her? Because you can't date everybody the same. You can't take them to the same place, talk about the same thing. This is how you make it to where the woman is making herself available with you, because at the end of the day, you're still a stranger, right? And all this is just to break the ice, get her comfortable enough, get her intrigued and interested enough to take the risk to get to know you, right? So with that being said, comments, thoughts, leave them below. Like the video, man. And last but not least, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel, man. Stop playing. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. I'm gone.